We are living in an age where the human nervous system has become an endangered ecology, polluted by overstimulation, thinned by stress, and farmed by industries that profit from attention. Our minds are not calm fields of perception anymore. They are strip-mined landscapes where every thought competes with the next advertisement, every emotion is tagged, and every pause is filled with noise. What passes for normal in modernity would have seemed like madness to our ancestors. We exist in a state of permanent activation, a low, humming anxiety that never resolves into silence. The glow of our devices outshines the moon. Our breath stays shallow, our spines curve away from the screen, and our sleep dissolves under the blue light of endless stimulation. The body, that ancient and trustworthy barometer of reality, has been abandoned for a simulation of experience that never ends. This isn't simply a technological issue, it's a civilizational nervous breakdown. Our capacity to feel, to rest, to attend deeply is being eroded. When a society keeps its citizens in a state of subtle panic, it becomes easy to control their behavior, not through violence or propaganda alone, but through dysregulation. A nervous system that can't settle into stillness will seek stimulation as a drug, and the marketplace will always provide it. The mechanisms of addiction and the mechanisms of persuasion share the same circuitry. And so we must ask the question the culture would prefer we never ask. What kind of economy have we actually built? We tell ourselves we live in a marketplace of goods and services and ideas, but look beneath the surface, and you will find that the true commodity, the resource beneath all the other resources, is your attention. The great enclosure of our age is not the fencing of land or the damming of rivers or the patenting of the genome. It is the enclosure of consciousness itself. The last commons, the final wilderness, is the inside of the human mind, and it is being surveyed and parceled and sold while we sleep. Every empire requires something to extract. The empire of the screen has discovered that it need not mind the earth at all. It minds you. It minds the involuntary flick of the thumb, the half-second of curiosity, the ancient orienting reflex that once told our ancestors a leopard had moved in the grass, and now tells us only that a stranger has reacted to a photograph. An entire priesthood of engineers, some of the most gifted minds of a generation, sit in glass towers and devote their genius to a single sacrament, the capture of your gaze. They do not need your love, they do not need your name. They need only your minutes, and they have built cathedrals of persuasion to harvest them. Understand what this means, because it is the whole game. A civilization that earns its bread by capturing attention has a structural, financial, almost theological interest in keeping you distracted. Your scattered mind is not a side effect of the system. Your scattered mind is the product. Your inability to rest in silence is the revenue. When the dysregulated nervous system reaches for stimulation as a drug, there is a quarterly earnings report somewhere that depends upon it. The marketplace does not merely provide the distraction. The marketplace is built upon the foundation of your distraction, and it will defend that foundation with everything it has. And here, the machine performs its most elegant trick, the closing of a perfect loop. First, the culture dysregulates you. Then, the culture diagnoses you. The very civilization that strip-mines your attention and holds your nervous system at the frequency of low and ceaseless alarm now turns to you with a clipboard and a grave expression and announces that the problem lies within you, not in the world, in you. Consider sadness. Your sorrow, which may be the only sane response to a world dissevered from the soil and the stars and the sacred, has been renamed. It has been given a billing code. We have decided as a culture that grief is a malfunction, that melancholy is a chemical error in need of correction, that the dark night of the soul, which every contemplative tradition on earth has called a doorway, is now merely a deficiency to be dosed. And the pharmaceutical priesthood arrives, on schedule, with their antidepressant drugs, and they do not cure a single thing. They were never built to. You cannot medicate your way out of a sickness that lives in the culture and not in the cell. The pill does not dissolve the cause of your sorrow. It dampens the alarm that was trying to tell you about it. It turns down the volume on the smoke detector while the house goes on burning. And this is not a malfunction of the industry. This is the design. There is no profit in a person who heals and walks away. There is a fortune in a person who must return to the counter every month for the rest of his life. They are not selling you freedom from suffering. They are selling you a subscription to its management, and they have every incentive to make sure the subscription never ends. Notice the philosophy smuggled inside the prescription. Notice the buried assumption that a human being is supposed to feel content inside a civilization that has abandoned the body and paved the garden. Sadness is not a disease. Sadness is intelligence. The heaviness you feel is the soul reporting, with perfect accuracy, a truth the culture cannot afford to let you sit with long enough to act on. And the very same sleight of hand is performed upon your attention. We took an entire generation and wired its nervous system to the slot machine of the infinite scroll. We trained it from the cradle to expect a fresh sensation every second and a half. And then, when it could no longer sit still in a quiet room, we expressed astonishment, and we called the result a disorder. and we reached once more for the pharmacy. This time, the stimulant to manufacture by chemistry the focus that the environment itself had stolen. Sit for a moment with the strangeness of this arrangement. The attention economy engineers the deficit, the pharmaceutical economy sells the cure, and both of them post their invoices to the same exhausted and bewildered human being. The inability to concentrate is not always a flaw in the brain. Very often, it is a flawless report from a nervous system overwhelmed, an accurate signal that the fractured world it has been ordered to follow is genuinely impossible to follow. So where do we begin to climb out of this? Not with a sharper algorithm, not with a stronger pill. To understand our predicament, we must start at the level of the body. Every human being carries within them an exquisite instrument, the autonomic nervous system, constantly balancing between activation and relaxation, between fight or flight and rest and digest. When this rhythm is disturbed for long enough, the results are predictable. Anxiety, depression, distraction, apathy. You cannot evolve consciousness atop a trembling foundation. It's like trying to build a cathedral on quicksand. What's missing from our collective education is what might be called nervous system hygiene. We learn to brush our teeth, to shower, to wash our hands, but we are never taught to cleanse the mind, to regulate the breath, to unwind the emotional knots that accumulate through the day. The modern human being is mentally brilliant and emotionally constipated, spiritually thirsty, but physically numb. Nervous system hygiene begins with the simplest of acts, breathing with intention. Before any ideology, before any philosophy, there is respiration, the meeting point of body and soul. A slow exhale tells the body it is safe. Safety is the prerequisite for insight. In a nervous system that feels perpetually threatened, even the most beautiful ideas become distorted into defense mechanisms. Next comes movement, not the competitive exercise of gym culture, but the gentle, rhythmic reclaiming of one's body, walking without headphones, stretching without a timer, dancing without an audience. Movement is the language by which the body reasserts its presence in the conversation of consciousness. It reminds the organism that it is alive, not merely surviving. Then there is nutritional and sensory balance. The nervous system cannot thrive on sugar, caffeine, and cortisol, nor can it unfold gracefully in a blizzard of images and notifications. We must rediscover the discipline of information fasting. Time spent offline, unhooked from the hyperreal spectacle, allowing the perceptual field to reset. Silence is not an absence. Silence is the fertile ground from which real thought emerges. Connection to nature is another form of hygiene. The body evolved in dialogue with the elements, wind against skin, sun on eyelids, soil under fingernails. Rewilding the nervous system does not require fleeing civilization, only remembering that we are ecological beings. When you touch a tree, when you watch clouds or listen to rain, the parasympathetic system recognizes a lost language and begins to speak it again. And yes, psychedelic experiences, when approached with reverence and integration, can momentarily open the locked doors of perception. But the true transformation is not in the vision itself. It is in how that vision is metabolized through daily nervous system regulation. Without grounded somatic work, mystical insight evaporates into the haze of novelty. With it, the whole organism reorients toward coherence. At its heart, nervous system hygiene is a philosophy of restored proportion. It invites a slower, saner relationship with stimuli, with time, with attention. In that recalibration lies freedom, not the shallow freedom to consume or perform, but the deeper freedom to direct one's own awareness. A regulated nervous system is resistant to propaganda because it can pause before reacting. It can choose, it can feel its sadness without surrendering it to a diagnosis, and it can rest its attention without surrendering it to a feed. The future of human evolution will not be written in code or colonized on other planets. It will unfold in the quiet revolution of bodies learning to relax again. Imagine a culture where calmness is contagious, where silence is treated as sacred, where education begins with self-regulation. That would be a society immune to manipulation because it would be anchored in presence. We don't need more stimulation. We need more symmetry between mind and body, between action and stillness. The nervous system is not a battlefield but a garden, and our job is to tend it daily. If we do, clarity returns, compassion returns, thought becomes luminous instead of loud. The next renaissance will not come from silicon. It will rise from the simple act of people breathing together, walking with awareness, and refusing to let their sacred attention be harvested by the machinery of distraction. The new enlightenment will sound like an exhale,